Alright, what is up everybody? This is Rance and welcome to part 2 of my Street Fighter 6 Beginner's Guide. Now, this is a basic intro to these characters. This will not be a full breakdown of every character, but instead we'll be talking about them in some groups and some play styles to let you kind of establish which character you think might best suit you. So, let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, so first things first, before anything else, the most important thing when choosing a character is finding a character that you like. Right? Finding a character that you think is cool, that you enjoy playing. So Dee Jay is my example. I think he's the coolest character in the game. And I tried his combo trials. I tried his character tutorials, which you should give a shot for any character you're interested in. And I found out that his playstyle was also incredibly fun. So because of that, I started to play him. I really enjoyed him. And now I have a character that I genuinely, thoroughly enjoy. That is the most important thing. Everything else that I'll be telling you about is more kind of tips and advice to point you in the right direction, but essentially follow your heart when it comes to whatever character you like the best. Now, something else to consider is that there are characters that utilize charge inputs as opposed to kind of manual command inputs. So a typical input is a quarter circle forward or a down forward motion. That would be an example of a traditional input. However, a charge input would be holding a button back or down and then pressing forward or up after that button has been charged for long enough. So examples of characters who have charge inputs as part of their kit are Dee Jay, Guile, Blanca, E Honda, and Chun-Li. So if you struggle with charge inputs, if you don't think that you're able to actually do them correctly or have the patience for them, then just be aware of that when picking your character. Now, our character select menu here actually is very helpful because it gives us certain categories that different characters fall into. So you see that we have type, effective range, and ease of use. So this is very helpful because we get to see the variety of ways that these characters kind of get to play the game. So for type, we have 4 categories. We have standard, we have tricky, we have power, and we have speed. Then effective range, we have 3 categories. We have mid-range, we have long range, and we have close range, which these are all self-explanatory. If you are a long range character, you want to do projectiles, keep your opponent away from you. If you're close range, you want to be in their face at all times. Then last but not least, we have ease of use. Now, these are suggestions by the game as to which characters the game thinks is easy, normal, or hard to use. These can be different based on your own personal tastes. If you're used to doing projectiles, even though JP says that it's a hard character, then you might find JP easier. If you don't know how to do command grabs by any means, then you might find Lily to be a little bit tougher because she does have a full circle motion for one of her command grabs. So these are recommendations. That being said, the 3 categories here are easy, normal, and hard. So based on these 3 categories, this actually helps you quite a bit discover what characters you might want to start messing around with. Now, I have also categorized these characters into a few different groups, and there's a bit of leeway between these groups, obviously. However, I will be talking about these groups and then showing you some examples from these characters. So the first group is kind of the standard and Shoto-esque characters. These characters have pretty much everything you would want in a Street Fighter character, and they are able to kind of rely on the fundamentals of fighting games as well as Street Fighter specifically to kind of help them get through. So 3 characters in this group are Luke, Ryu, and Ken. While each of them have unique variations, they do have kind of the basic building blocks of a fighting game character. So we will use Luke as our example because he's our new poster boy for Street Fighter 6, and he's one of the best beginner-friendly characters. Now, the reason why I have him as the same group as Ryu and Ken is that he has a projectile, just like they do, though it is different. He has an uppercut, which is a good against jump-ins and anti-airs. He also has a combo extender, and of course for the back series, very simple confirmed. He even has a mix-up built in. He has a running stance that he can either go into an overhead kick or a shoulder block or just stop it and then go for a grab. Cannot stop it early, but you get what I mean. So Luke, in my opinion, along with Ryu especially, two of the best characters to pick up and start learning the fundamentals of Street Fighter, because they have very self-explanatory moves. There's nothing incredibly tricky about them. There is a perfect timing to Luke's stuff that amplifies when the character is kind of in the air, and so that does change your combo routes quite a bit. I'll be doing a Luke deep dive guide later, so I'll show you those in that guide. However, that does give you a potential to kind of move towards, is getting those perfect timings, because your combo routes get opened up and it's very fun. But in the beginning, he's the perfect character to pick up and establish what it is to play Street Fighter 6. Okay, next on our list, we have a group that is all about grappling. These are the grappler focused characters, characters who have command grabs, and their game plan is kind of focused around command grabs. So these are Zangief, Manon, and for now, I'll also have Lily in this list. She could occupy another group as well, but a command grab is a very powerful and important part of her toolkit. So Zangief is the quintessential grappler. He may not have a ton of speed at all. He may not be the most complicated character. Definitely doesn't have the most advanced combo routes either. However, if your goal is to do nothing but huge damage all at once to your opponent, look no further than his spinning pile driver. That was the light version, which has the most range. His heavy version does a lot more damage and is much more terrifying. He has some good anti-airs, very simple anti-airs as well with his lariat. He has an incredibly hard for me to do, but might be easy for you, level 3, which does a crap ton of damage on its own. So these characters are really focused on grabbing the opponent. If the opponent thinks that you are going to grab them, they'll try and jump, and then that opens you up to do your anti-air options, and that opens you up to then make them stop jumping, and that's when you go in for the command grabs. So generally these characters have somewhat basic fundamentals, but really they're focused on getting that command grab out. Now, Lily is a slight exception. She does have a few other things going on, but her command grab is incredibly powerful as well. So she's kind of a hybrid. She's in this group as well as a little bit in the Speedster group, which I'll be talking about next. Okay, now for our Speedsters, like I mentioned, Lily is half in this group, I would say. She could really be in a number of different groups, but for this, I'll put her half here, half in grappling. But the pure Speedsters that I will stick with for now are Kimberly, is a Speedster for sure. Cammy, absolutely. Blanca as well. Blanca has a lot of tricky things going on as well, but I'd say that he is a Speedster. Chun-Li and Juri. Now, each of these characters have different things going on. Juri has stacks that she can give herself. Chun-Li has combos after her level 2 supers in the air. She even has some airborne options that are unique to her. Blanca has setups with his doll, and Cammy has plus moves and a few different things that she can utilize. Let's talk about Kimberly as kind of our example of the Speedster archetype. So you notice that Kimberly's walk speed is very fast, but she also has built-in tools to get in on the opponent. So she has this command run, which has a ton of different options after the fact. She has a teleport, which she can also use to get in. She can throw down some paint canisters to then get in, confuse you, even get combos off the paint canisters. So this archetype is all about getting in your face as fast as possible, using very, very quick buttons, quick pokes, mixing it up with throws after a while. Maybe not getting as much damage per combo, but getting a lot of combos is typically what you're going to be doing if you are a Speedster character. So if you want to press a lot of buttons and you want to be always making your opponent guess, making them panic, right, going for unique different options, you definitely can if you're using characters within this group. Okay, now let's talk about projectile characters. So these are characters that are going to want to keep the opponent at full screen as far away from them as possible. They're designed to just keep your opponent away. That's pretty much their game plan. So we have JP here, we have Guile, and we have Dhalsim. Now each of them are kind of unique in their own ways. JP can do some nice setups. He has a full screen command grab, which is terrifying. Guile's really simple. He's really kind of basic because you're going to be throwing out projectiles. Then as soon as your opponent jumps, boom, you flash kick him. And then Dhalsim is incredibly unique because his entire body is a projectile, essentially. So as we can see for Dhalsim here, his moves actually extend his body. These are all just his normal moves. And of course, he has a ton of different projectiles to keep the opponent away. He has a float state. He has a teleport as well that he can do. Let's see if I can activate it. There you go. Very tricky character, but yeah, Dhalsim wants you to stay as far away from him as he possibly can. He has this extra floaty jump because he has unique options out of the jump. So really, if you're playing a projectile character, this is what you're doing. You are throwing out buttons, you're throwing out projectiles, you're trying your darndest to just keep the opponent away from you for as long as you possibly can and hope that they do not find a way around your either very stretchy limbs or your very scary projectiles. Now, it's risky because, for example, Dhalsim has long startup on all of these moves. And so you can potentially counter counter him rather at times. However, it can be tough for some characters to just get in and start getting damage. Now next, let's talk about the power category. So I did actually go with what the game suggested here. I do think that Honda fits in this, although he can also fly around the screen with his butt stomp, with his headbutt. He can be tricky as well, but once he does get in, once he does get hits, he can do a lot of damage. So we have Honda in this power category, and we do have Marisa. These characters are going to want to attack the opponent not as many times as like a speedster might, for example. They're going to want to get a few big hits in, make those hits count, and may not necessarily always have as much execution as other characters. So for example, Marisa, she hits and she hits hard. That is her entire thing. So this is his closer forward motion. You see that was a single attack that I fully charged, and it was 2,400 damage off a single attack. Pretty good. That was 28 by doing the heavy version even. So yeah, she's all about doing as many just damaging moves as possible. The unique thing about Marisa is that she can charge practically all of her special moves and most of her buttons. So for example, here is the uncharged version of her down heavy punch. Here's the fully charged version of it. You can even get more follow-ups than that, but that's just an example of a follow-up. She also even has this counter stance right here. You can go into an overhead, go into a low, go into a command grab, which is very powerful. And really, she is exactly what she seems like she is. She's going to hit you once, twice, 3 times, and hopefully kill you after that is completed. So power characters like her are generally focused on trying to just do as much damage as they possibly can to the opponent as quickly as they can. Now, last but not least, I made our Trickster characters. So these are characters who are not quite as simple as standard, not quite as fast as the Speedsters, but have their own little unique things up their sleeve that can be quite difficult to deal with and can be a little bit more hard to even play as. And so Blanca would apply here as well. Blanca's kind of to be a Speedster and a Trickster for sure. However, the other people I have in this category are Jamie. Jamie has drink stances, he has a command grab, he has different moves depending on his drink stances that he changes as the game progresses, probably more than any other character. And then Dee Jay has a ton of mix-ups, has a ton of making your opponent guess, and can be played in a variety of ways. So while I mentioned that command grab characters, like Manon, for example, wants to simply level up their command grab, how projectile characters want to keep your opponent away, a character like Dee Jay has a few different playstyles. So he has a phenomenal projectile game. Could just be a projectile character if you want. He even has a fake on his projectile to make the opponent guess. However, he also can go in and do mix-ups. So an example here is his sway stance. Off of this, we can do a low attack, we can do a overhead, we can do a launcher, which then we get a follow-up after that, or we can even do a dash forward or a dash forward, dash back. So a lot of different options, and that's kind of what makes a character like DJ, a Trickster. He can be in your face, he can step away from it, he can do kind of Guile's gameplay and projectiles, then as soon as you jump, bam, he's doing up kicks because he is a charge character. And so has a lot of unique different ways to play, and even has a fake Sobot kick, which you can then go into a throw, has a fake uppercut, which then can go into overhead pressure. He has a lot of plus moves that you can also use to kind of make the opponent want to start pressing buttons. So yeah, a character like him is totally focused on mixing your opponent up. They can freeze up or perhaps just press when you're not supposed to and kind of capitalize on those mistakes. Okay, that brings us to the end of the video. Again, this was a pretty general overview, and these are all subjective categories, right? These are all just different categories that I found to be helpful when I was looking at which characters I wanted to play. But you can totally play whatever character you want, and again, pick the one that you enjoy and that you like the character that they are, if that makes sense. You know, you want your character to be cool and fun and all that good stuff. Now, once you've selected your character, you're going to want to go ahead and figure out how to combo with that character. And if you want any help, check out my guide number 3, how to combo, coming out shortly. So we're going to be figuring out how to combo with different characters and kind of the combo theory around this game. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you want to see more Street Fighter 6 guides and videos, and I will see you in the next one.